Can you guys hear us okay? How many of you were at the golf yesterday? So that's a good number, but I want each of you to tell your neighbor sitting next to you who wasn't there how it was like playing golf 2,500 feet in the mountains, just 20 minutes out of this location. It was an amazing day. Thank you all for supporting our foundation. So after that real high note, keynote, obviously a lot of food for thought. So in the ensuing sessions today, we're going to dive deeper into many of those areas that Kevin was talking about and really discuss as, our services, global services community, how do we reshape the future of our industry, which is obviously being impacted from many different angles. Technology is just one side of it. There's the market, there's geopolitical, lots of other convergence happening from different sides. So in this panel today, we're going to talk about how AI is impacting different industries, especially the consumer-facing industries, and how all of you should be not just rethinking how to go about positioning yourselves to capture the new opportunities coming out in this AI economy, but how you should also retool from grounds up, from your service delivery layer to your sales organization to obviously how you go into market, what message you're sending out there. As Kevin pointed out, right, this convergence between technology and services is happening at a very rapid pace, and it's unstoppable, right? And GenAI is no longer a hype. We've known that. But there are still significant challenges in building it into your ecosystem and also to deliver value to your customers. It's not just about bringing new efficiencies, productivity, or cost takeout. It's also about how do you enable new business models that were even unthinkable just a couple of years ago. So we'll dive into those aspects today, and I have with me three of our partners who are leaders in their industries, and so I'm going to ask the first question about, starting from you, Carlos. What do you see as the impact within your specific area, your vertical? What do you see happening?
So what I see happening is, first of all, the industry is just no longer being looked at just travel or transportation or hospitality now. We're looking at the overall commercial industries playing together more efficiently, leveraging innovative technologies and Gen AI. And why? Because the entire value chain now is being affected. And then the customer engagement now is at the center of everything. So when you look at companies on the maritime, bringing the merchandise to the ports, they are working on using AI and technologies for route optimization, then warehouse optimization, supply chain optimization, then in the transport. They all have different elements of Gen AI, but the customer engagement becomes really critical because now the customers in rail and freight rail, they want to know where their things are because the retailers need to do predictive demand. They need to look at how they're going to be selling, all these other things. So it is really now a lot more comprehensive across the value chain. So what that means is, when we are working with our partners, when we see the service providers and the technology innovators working through this, it's like, how do we create deals that are more dynamic? So we're just seeing now deals that are a lot more agile in terms of the type of contracting, right? So we can, move things around depending on the demand. And Kevin said all the things that are changing and labor arbitrage. So all of that is changing. So we are really focusing on trying to get those type of agile type of contractors, dynamic pricing, and having that agility to be able to close them faster. Because at the end of the day, if we can promote the acceleration of those technologies, the business value creation to the client, focusing on the customer engagement, will be faster to capture on a quarterly or a monthly basis. So that is, they want to see results faster. So the velocity has to be there.
Great. Nishant, you're in healthcare, obviously, and that's our biggest practice by revenue and client concentration. Healthcare has been a laggard in terms of embracing technology, but I think with AI now coming to the forefront, we're seeing some rapid shifts, right? So give us some example, then maybe give us some thoughts about that.
Yeah, historically that's been the case. Healthcare has been slow to kind of catch on to trends, but I think that's going to change because philosophically there has been a shift in the way our customers are coming to us, we are engaging with the clients. In healthcare, it always used to be, hey, we need to make sure we preserve the way we do things because we are very close to our patients, they are used to a certain experience, we cannot let that deteriorate. Data has to be very closed and it has to be safeguarded. So the conversation used to be, how do we keep the risks to zero and then eke out some cost savings here and there, right? That has fundamentally changed. Two reasons. One is, of course, the whole sector, especially on the provider side, is under a lot of cost pressure. Now, what that means is there is almost an existential reason to look out for new opportunities. Two, the healthcare executives, the patients, everyone involved in providing healthcare as well, they have been exposed to what AI can do for them in other areas, like when they interact with travel transportation, when they interact with retail. That has opened them up to accepting it. Third reason, of course, is the need to now make sure that we don't just lower the cost of operations, but we also provide better customer experience, which is being demanded, right? So in healthcare, we are seeing impacts on the clinical outcome side, where we are looking at more involvement of AI in the doctor's office, in the physician's office. Kevin shared a great case study around customer engagement. And some of the older population, which was not that used to kind of engaging with self-service channels, we are seeing a lot of uptake there because now AI has become so conversational. In fact, some of the outcomes and some of the experiences with AI are better than the experiences that they are having with human agents. For one of our clients, we were able to reduce. So they were seeing a surge of calls coming in, about a 90% surge post-COVID. They were, facing long, big call abandonment rates, long lead times to take the call. So we were able to work with them, create an AI-backed solution, and lower their cost significantly. Their call abandonment rate has gone down to almost nothing. The customer experience has improved. So definitely instances there, definitely already use cases in production across, and I can keep speaking. You'll have to stop me.
Yeah, we have more questions. Naresh?
So, on the manufacturing side, building on what Carlos talked about, definitely supply chain visualization is critical because it's impacted the global supply chain issues, the crisis. And so they need better visibility, better demand forecasting. And the other part that adds in with the shift to more some of the manufacturing companies directly work with customers, end-to-end customers, with the e-commerce side, that's really adding on to that equation as well. On the other side of manufacturing is one of the things, the trends we're observing as well is the integration of the engineering and manufacturing, because you need to streamline your business operations and drive efficiencies. It's getting competitive, and that's the big shift we're seeing. Again, leveraging AI to help with the data analytics, support supply chain, and the whole IT, OT side of the fence.
Yeah. So I referred to the three broad areas where AI is having impact, right? One is operational efficiencies, productivity. Second is enhancing customer experience. And third is really creating more product innovation so that you can unleash new revenue channels, right? Where are you seeing current traction or where do you see the future growth amongst these?
Go ahead, Nishant.
So almost in 100% of our deals where we are trying to make customers' processes more optimized, right? Better outcomes, better business metrics, and lower costs. AI is very deeply and integrated into those solutions, right? And that's not just a value add, the customer is asking for it. So when we go out to the market now, trying to even do renewals, what the customer expectation is and what the requirements are far above what used to be what they are even experiencing right now, and that's become the default, right? So that's on the cost side. On the revenue side, we are now able to, and I'll talk about on the provider market. If you talk about the revenue cycle management area, we are able to now craft solutions along with you all to give the client a very predictable cost profile of their revenue cycle operations, link it to the cost to collect, keep that below a certain threshold and keep reducing that while increasing the collections. So it's having an impact both on the revenue and the cost side. And progressively, we are locking in greater and greater savings and better outcomes in the out years. Some of those solutions are not yet known, but we are having to now create the right governance mechanisms with the clients to make sure that AI doesn't become a one-time investment when the deal gets started, but it kind of gets embedded into the service delivery model and the way they evolve the delivery.
So I think that a lot of these technologies have been around for a long time, and in the case of travel, transportation, these technologies, you guys have had all these technologies for a long time, and I think that we're dealing with a lot of old legacy contracts, and I think that's part of the challenge. And I think the readiness of the client and the progress that the clients have made has been very little. So their demands in terms of, I want these technologies, I want you to help me to reduce costs and whatnot. I think that the key here is to really kind of change the narrative, and from your perspective, how do you, and working with us, how do you really anticipate to some of these technologies? And we tell our clients, they say, well, we need to go to market. There's a lot of technologies. They say, well, we know what technologies are in the marketplace, and you're not going to find any different ones. So there is no reason to change horses when you already have one that is already capable of delivering and accelerating the outcomes that we are expecting here. So in the case of GTA, for example, this is something that started 2 years ago, and the incumbent had all the capabilities. And even if we were told we need to go to market, after a very comprehensive study, said, like, look, all the technologies, all the different accelerators, technology innovators are available right now. So we engineer a deal that will allow the vendor to quickly anticipate and start implementing these technology enablers to be able to say, hey, we are going to be able to achieve these cost savings that we can measure on a quarterly basis, and then without having to change players, which requires a shorter-term deal, but it is still a bigger deal, right? So I think that is a way that, in my opinion, will materialize this cost savings and efficiencies very quickly without having to go to market. So I think that sole source in this case, I think, is the way to go.
So on the manufacturing aspects, building on what Carlos talked about, is if you really look at, they're really focused in the past. Most people left the manufacturing guys, let them do what they're doing, the business is doing their piece. And IT was focused on the technology side. Now with the whole OT, leveraging that into their operations, it's a big shift on the business side, number one. Number two is, if you think of, and going on Carlos talked about incumbency, if you guys are in with a client, help them understand how to build on and take that technology you're doing on the IT side, more on the business side, whether it's the PLM, the manufacturing, drive that integration out there, because that's key. That's some of the trends as we're working with several A&D clients and other manufacturing entities, is that piece. And then as coming back to the efficiencies and short-term deals, that's what they want to have closed, drive those savings up front, and actually still deliver. So that's the observation.
Yeah. So on one of the slides, Kevin talked about those 5 real important value drivers, right, for the service providers, which is how to enable higher margins, how to improve the deal velocity, how to engineer more sole source types of deals, right? So how is AI influencing these deal structures? How are you leveraging it when you're running a process for your clients to enable those value drivers?
So given, and I can talk about healthcare in this respect, given the higher expectation of what the solution needs to deliver, there is an inherent need for solutioning in these deals. You can't just RFP it out. You can't just ask for a cost per FT kind of model and still get the right outcomes for the client, right? So very naturally, in most of our deals, it's either a very selective, few provider RFP, even to get to the point where we start solutioning with the preferred service provider if the client wants us to go the competitive route. Or it's a sole source discussion where we can bring the client executives together. And it's not just one executive we are selling to now, because the nature of how AI needs to be implemented touches IT, it touches the business, it touches the chief medical officer, and so on. So it's that we have to take all of those executives into the conversation, get some of the right minds from your side, and construct those deals. Definitely these deals end up being longer term, so we're not talking 3 years, because you can't really do transformation and extract any value in 3 years. It's a 5 to 7 year deal. There is gain share in the mix. Now, gain share doesn't make sense for advisors, but for you all who will be living that journey with the client, gain share absolutely makes sense, and there are some very sophisticated models we have developed around that for different types of requirements. I'll again stop there.
So to me, everything is at the center of the business digital strategy, because with that, you can then put together a contract that is going to represent higher margins for the vendors. Because why? Because they're going to be able to make adjustments, implement their technologies, and the faster, looking back the velocity of implementing innovative technologies, the faster those get implemented, the faster they will be able to increase their margins, the faster they're going to be able to demonstrate cost optimization to the clients. So it is at the center of that strategy that coordinated becomes part of the deal. That is what creates the levers to be able to materialize those achievements. Faster contracting, higher margins, less disruption. It's all going to happen all at the same time.
And one of those, and some of you are aware of this one, but one of medical service providers, this was about 9 months ago, and from a managed service perspective, they were expecting not just a COLA reduction, they're expecting the providers leveraging AI to drive 30% savings, and that's the expectation out there. This was 9 months ago. Now I'm sure there's even more. So the whole idea is, how do you guys now embed that into your operations to drive the efficiencies and the savings, and of course margins for you guys as well. Also, they wanted to really have a quick time to market, close the deal fast, and make it happen. And I think that's supporting what the team talked about.
Yeah. And I would like to make a point about incumbency here, right? We've been talking about the fact that that's the opportunity for us to get deeper with the clients, really start transforming. We do see sometimes the predisposition on the service provider side, thinking that, hey, the client wanted us to deliver it a certain way. If we offer a different way to deliver, the client may just walk away. So incumbency doesn't mean that we don't innovate. It actually means the reverse. We got to innovate because now we know the client environment enough. We can put solutions on the table that will work for the client. If we don't innovate, you know what, the client might have been in a state of mind where they would not accept other solutions like 10 months back, but now they want those solutions. And if you don't innovate, they might look to another vendor who will innovate for them.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very important point, that incumbency shouldn't be the bane of innovation. Meaning, just to retain that account, you don't want to just keep it at that steady state. You actually want to try and reshape, recreate, so that your competitors don't come in and take that account away. And that's happening all the time. In fact, we hear many times from clients that are saying, oh, my provider is not bringing this technology or this sort of transformation to me. And we're amazed because the same provider we know for a fact is doing that with other clients day in and day out. So that's kind of reflective of the fact that the whole service delivery, the account management structure and ethos has to shift. We are not just motivated to retain an account which is going to eventually die away, right? How do you recreate it? In some cases, cannibalize it, right? So let me ask this question, which is an elephant in the room, because we hear this from many of you about the fact that your clients are coming to you and saying AI is driving these huge, huge efficiencies. You don't need as many programmers, testers, whatever. I want 30, 40% cost savings. What are you guys seeing? Are you actually seeing that happen in the market? And how are providers handling that?
It is happening in the market, and it's also driving another behavior that kind of that Kevin talked about. And this is where we together have to also educate our clients. We have seen even some clients say, hey, we want 30, 40% savings here. If we go with the provider and they deliver us the savings, that lowers their revenue. So it's not aligned. It's not a win-win. Let me go to a GCC. Let me go there, innovate and optimize. And maybe after 5 years, I'll look to outsource it. There is an inherent, some percentage of the clients, there is an inherent fear that either the provider won't give us that saving or won't innovate, or they would not be interested in the model at all because it lowers their revenues. While the reality is most of you would, because you want to grow with them, you want to innovate with them and take those solutions to other clients of yours as well.
To me, I look at things from the inside out. I tell the clients, are you able to actually, are you in a position to enable your partners, your vendors to achieve the cost savings that you're dreaming of? The level of readiness is generally not there. Yeah. The technology, the basic, the infrastructure is just not there. So we have to define an accelerated roadmap to be able to enable that cost savings, but we have to change that behavior with them. Otherwise, the expectations are, but I tell them, I said, like, this is not going to happen. Doesn't matter who you bring in here. Yeah. You have to transform internally very quickly to be able to achieve that level of readiness and enable your vendors to deliver that.
Okay. Yeah. So we're kind of running out of time. So let me ask two questions, very quick answers. One is, Kevin showed that slide about the managed services as a business revenue-wise declining or stalling, right? What is your prognostication?
It is happening. I mean, and my client is that we are in the stage of implementing now the tech-enabled services operating model, and there's a significant reduction on labor arbitrage, and driven by accelerated technology innovation being implemented in advance to be able to achieve those cost savings on day one of the contract. So it is happening, it's expected already.
Yep.
On the A&D side, still they're a little behind on leveraging technologies in the IT side. However, they're definitely looking to do that on the OT side of the fence. So I think there's going to be a lot more shift occurring there, leveraging cloud but post-secured in that manner. In the past, they've been very hesitant to make those changes because of the cloud computing, yeah. But definitely there.
So these AI-enabled services, or what now we're seeing the emergence of service as a software, flipping the whole pyramid, traditional pyramid, where technology is at the front and human labor is supporting, augmenting, providing domain and intellectual expertise. That's going to result in winners and losers, unfortunately. That's the reality. So the final question, just quickly, one piece of advice to the providers in terms of how they can be on the winning side of this shift towards AI-enabled services.
At the risk of repeating, right, I would say pay attention to where you are in the client environment. But go there not with the intent of just grabbing another piece of work. If you start innovating with the client, you will become the default vendor or partner of choice anyway. So invest in those solutions. Sometimes you might need some external help to validate those solutions, make sure the client understands the price, etc. Use us in that capacity. We are here to do sole source deals with you. Make sure you are sticky with your clients. You have deeper, longer term relationships with them.
I would say help continue to drive the digital strategy, and that's where we come to play to do it together, because that ongoing digital strategy is going to feed into the engineering of the next deal on a sole source basis.
And adding to that, too, I don't want to repeat what they said, is helping them with the change management, because that's going to be key to driving this shift, no matter what we talk about. because this technology is impacting not just IT, the entire business, and that's going to be critical as we move forward.
Right, yeah. So I think, as we come out of a stalled growth period in our industry, it's not all doom and gloom. I think that's what my colleagues are saying. And at the precipice of every challenge is the springboard for new opportunities. So with that, we'll move on to the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.